Hi, my name's James. I'm just here to talk a little bit about the history of the church. So today I'm going to talk about the Reformation. What was it? So the Reformation was the point at which the church started to look back towards its apostolic roots. It had become increasingly cultural, it had become the Catholic institution, it was often a state religion. This was the point at which a lot of that got stripped away and people looked for something simpler. Okay, so the main issues and difficulties people were having were with things like the concept of limbo. Limbo where unbaptized children go when they die. Things like purgatory, you spend a certain amount of time in purgatory to pay for your sins until you get to go to heaven. Also things like the grandeur of the church, which was being built up by selling indulgences. So people would give money to the church for forgiveness for particular sins. If I wanted to go and sin, I could kind of almost plan in advance how much I needed to pay for that sin. You even had elements like the discrediting of concepts like clergy. So many of the popes, bishops and leaders of the day were very unscrupulous characters, known more for their wealth, their money, their women, than they were for their piety, their duty, their faithfulness to Christ. So the Reformation, it's very hard to pinpoint one single event that started it, but most people would pinpoint it at the moment Martin Luther nailed his arguments against the Catholic Church to the door of the Castle Church. That happened in Wittenberg in Germany. But also at a similar time you started to have things like John Wycliffe, admittedly slightly earlier, John Wycliffe, who began to translate the Bible into English. And this meant that whereas before it was in Latin and only the priest could read Latin because the priest was educated enough, the people, anyone could read vernacular English. So you had Wycliffe and then you had Jan Hus, who translated the Bible as well. And it continued on and on and on. Ultimately, vernacular Bibles were becoming more and more common, and the authorities who wanted to keep control of who could read Scripture were having a much more difficult time to kind of keep their grip on that. The advent of the printing press really was the last straw. When the printing press arrived, that was when the Bible started to become more readily available and more mainstream to people. So the impact of the Reformation and the translation of the Bible is that now we look back to a more apostolic form of faith. So many denominations at that point started to strip back everything that they'd inherited, all of their inherited beliefs, and start to look at things like, okay, that's what the bishop says, what does the Bible say? That's what the Pope says, what did Jesus say? They were looking at things like, this is what we do in church. What did the apostles do in church? The church has these big images. Well, do we really need that? The church has all this wealth. What do we feel is the right thing to do with that based on what the early church did, based on what the apostolic fathers did?